coming to you from the Arizona Science Center. This week for our virtual camps, we are doing Amusement Park Camp. And so today we're going to learn a little bit about the history and science of one of our favorite snacks. You can often find at amusement parks or movie theaters, popcorn. So in our country, popcorn has a long history going back to the 1930s and the Great Depression. Because people did not have a lot of money at that time, it became a popular snack because you could buy it for 5 cents or 10 cents a bag. But actually popcorn's history goes back a lot further than that. Thousands of years ago, native peoples discovered that you could pop popcorn, and even the Aztecs, they used popcorn in a lot of their rituals and ceremonies. So we're going to get our popcorn started with this air popper, and then I will be talking a little bit about the science behind how popcorn is formed. So for this air popper, you do not require any oil with this. At the end of our time together, I will be showing all of you some other ways to pop popcorn other than the traditional way of just buying the bags at the grocery store. So with this air popper, you need about a 1/4 cup of kernels. I'm going to pour in the center here. And with any kind of popcorn process, you want to make sure that you are covering up the kernels while they're popping, just to make sure that there's not a kernel that might, fly out at your eye or something. So that's what this grating is for. So we're going to put this down. You will notice that this grating is going to pop up as the popcorn is popping because these kernels are going to expand to 40 or 50 times their original size when they are popped. All right, so we are going to put this lid on and get that started. And then I'm going to come around to the other side of the table here as that's going. It's going to take about 3 minutes or so, and during that time we're going to talk about the science of how popcorn is formed. So if we take a look at this diagram here, this is a diagram of a corn kernel, or in other words, a seed. There are a couple parts to it. So this outer seed coat is called the pericarp. Then we have the endosperm, which is broken into 2 parts. And you can notice that there are water droplets that we find on the inside of the endosperm. Now, the reason why popcorn pops is that these water droplets, they go through a state change and they form into water vapor. When those droplets become water vapor, they expand and take up more space, and that builds up pressure inside of the kernel. So then we move on to our kernels here, and there are many methods in which you can pop popcorn. One of them is in a pan, as you can see in this picture. Now with this next picture, you will see that as that pressure is building up in that kernel, the pericarp, or the seed coat, starts to break open. Now the endosperm inside becomes gelatinous, or kind of melts as that kernel is heating up, and then it pops out and rapidly cools down, which is what forms what we know as our popcorn. So that's basically the starchy material from the endosperm. Now, there are 2 types of popcorn kernels. The kind that we are dealing with today is called butterfly popcorn. That's the kind we usually put butter on or oil on. The other kind is mushroom popcorn, and that's often used to make kettle corn. All right, so let's go ahead and bring our air popper back and see how it's doing. So on the inside here, all of those kernels are moving around, okay? And eventually you're going to start hearing some more popping, and we're going to hit a point where you might have noticed this when you're cooking popcorn at home in a bag, where they all start popping. And it looks like it's starting now. So the grating is going to actually come up as those kernels are popping, and they're going to kind of start falling out into the tray around that center area. We're going to know when to turn this off when we stop hearing that popping sound, just like as if you were popping them in a bag that you bought at the grocery store. I'm starting to notice that I'm hearing less of that popping sound. It's a good time to turn it off. Now, After you pop popcorn, you want to be very careful not to be burnt by any steam, or especially with this air popper, you don't want to touch any of the metal parts of the popper. So we're going to let that kind of cool off a little bit. To end our time together, I want to tell you all about some non-traditional ways that you can pop popcorn. So you could try out popping popcorn in just a regular old lunch bag by putting some kernels inside and closing the bag up and then putting it in the microwave. And the way that you will know that they are done, again, and to make sure that they're not burning, is listen for that popping sound, and when it slows down, that's a good time to take them out. Another great way to cook popcorn at home that will let you kind of see the process a little bit better is on the stove. So if you're going to cook popcorn on the stove, you are going to want to use oil. So you'd put a little bit of oil in the bottom of your pan and sprinkle your kernels. It would be better if you have a clear lid, because then you can see kind of what's going on in there. You would place your lid on and have your temperature at around medium on your stove. And every now and then you want to kind of open the top of the lid and let the steam out. Remember, that steam is coming from that water vapor that was trapped inside of that pericarp, the seed coat, but when the endosperm bursts out, that water vapor is released, causing the steam that we notice when we open a bag of popcorn or if we're cooking it on the stove. So those are a couple ways that you can check out cooking popcorn at home. And I would highly recommend also, there are many videos on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet that show a popcorn kernel kind of bursting in slow motion, and that really allows you to kind of see the process even more clearly. So that's it for today. Again, my name is Hannah, and if you want to check out more hands-on science experiments and demonstrations, check out azscience.org and join us tomorrow for our next Facebook Live. Bye, everyone.
We're going to grab some popcorn before we leave. Yummy!